one of the things that I'm often asked is, are people happier after they get divorced or separated? Are they really? Well, maybe you are here because you are wondering about how to make that tough decision and wondering if it's going to all be worth it in the end. Now, I've been a divorce lawyer for a very long time, as you know, and I have literally represented thousands of clients. And I can say beyond anything that every single time people say, I'm so glad that happened. I have yet a client who I see a year or 2 or 3 down the road say that they regret their divorce. And now, I'm not saying that to be all pro-divorce and separation or anything. And what I'm saying that for is if you are in that really sad place, that heartbroken place, where you don't even know what your life is going to look like and you have all kinds of fear, what I'm saying is it's going to get better, at least for the thousands of people I've acted for. And that is even for people who haven't chosen to be separated. And it reminds me of a client. I'll call her Deborah. When Deborah came to me, she was crying so much. She was so heartbroken. She'd been married for 32 years. Honestly, she cried so much. She had tears almost spurting out of her eyes. And she sat there and tears were running down her face. She used up a whole box of Kleenex. I mean, she was a hot mess. She was so sad. And she was married to somebody. His name was, I'll call him Martin. They were together for 32 years. They had 2 grown children. Now, Deborah's life revolved a lot around Martin. And the thing is that she did a lot for him and got a ton of her identity up by being his wife. I mean, that's what she did. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was a stay-at-home spouse. Let's talk about Deborah's story and why she was so sad. So many years before she came to see me, she and Martin had these 2 little kids, and they hung out with this other couple, and things were really great. And she thought things were really wonderful. And this other couple, the woman in that couple, was her very best friend in the whole wide world. Well, lo and behold, she finds out that her best friend was having an affair with her husband. Now, at the time, Deborah was totally heartbroken. And also, she didn't know what to do. She didn't have a job outside of the home. She had these 2 little kids. Martin was a good provider. And when she found out, ended the affair, and it ended her friendship with her friend, of course. He ended the affair, apologized profusely, and did everything he could to make it up to her. So she stayed in the marriage, and she forgave him, and life went on. So go forward, I don't know, 28 years later or something like that, she and her daughter, now a grown-up, go away for a spa weekend. Now, the thing is that Deborah didn't really treat herself that often. And so she was really looking forward to this spa weekend and had a great time to just be pampered, hang out with her daughter who's now an adult, and just had a wonderful time. And when she's heading home, she was super excited to talk to Martin about her wonderful weekend and all of that. Well, instead, she comes home to a note. And in that note, Martin says to her, you know what? I've run off with your friend again, and I love her. And the thing is, I've always loved her. And I have to admit, I looked her up on Facebook a few months ago, and we started our relationship again. So I'm leaving, and I'm going to be with her now. Wish you all the very best. And off he goes. Ironically, so of course, Deborah's devastated. It's completely unexpected. She had no idea this was happening. She had no contact with this old friend for many years, and that's what she came home to. So then what happens is Martin, a few days later, comes back. As it turns out, her friend didn't really want Martin. So now Martin had left Deborah, goes off with this other woman. That other woman says, yeah, no, not so much. I think you're a bit too much work. So, or whatever it was that was the problem. So then he came back to Deborah, again, wanting to apologize and wanting to make it up to her so that she wouldn't essentially kick him to the curb. Well, lo and behold, Deborah said, nope, I had a cheating husband once, and I'm divorcing this cheating husband now. So when she came to see me, she was about a week after her spa weekend, and she was devastated. She had concerns about her financial future. She had concerns about her broken heart. She was angry at herself for making a decision long ago for taking Martin back or forgiving him when he would go ahead and do the same thing yet again, only much, much later. Well, ultimately, we were able to reach a great settlement agreement for her. So we resolved the matter without going to court, and she got on with her life. Oh, hey, it's me. Interrupting a little bit because I want videos like this to reach more people. So if you are enjoying what you see, if you're finding it helpful, please hit the subscribe button, which is somewhere up there. And also tell me, what was the biggest takeaway you had with respect to this video? Leave it in the comments below and I will answer every comment, every question, because that's what I do. Now, I have the wonderful privilege of running into Deborah every now and again. And holy cow, has Deborah's life changed. The thing is that, as she was healing and getting some counseling and therapy and moving forward with creating her own life, she realized for the first time that she actually hadn't created her own life. It always revolved around Martin. And what she was able to understand is that, well, actually, Martin was kind of controlling about stuff, and they only did stuff that he was into, but not stuff that she was into. And what she was able to do later in life, as she went through this process, she was able to discover herself in a way that she hadn't even known. And so now, of course, she lives in a nice little cabin that she loves. She's in a committed relationship with a man who adores her, and she works part-time and she loves that. And as well, she's pursued art, creating art, which has been a passion of hers that she kind of snuffed out and hadn't been paying attention to for many years. The thing is, I'm sharing this story about Deborah with you so that you can see what's possible for you. Oh, and by the way, Deborah says, you know what? I am so glad Martin gave me the gift of being a cheating husband again, because I was able to live a life much more richer than I could have ever expected. So this is my theory, is that when you are in a relationship and you are thinking about separating or getting divorced, or, the other person's made that decision for you, you actually have a picture and an understanding of what's gone on in your past. You can think about your children, you can think about dinners, you can think about dating, you can think about your life, your home, the way things were, and you have an idea of what that is like, even if parts of it are miserable. But actually, for people who are getting divorced, they actually don't know what the future could hold for them. They actually have no idea. So they have this very rich past in history, and all they can see is a blank, lonely emptiness in front of them. And that's scary. It's scary for a lot of people. And another thing is that when you are asking if people are happier after getting divorced, you also have to think about yourself. Now, do you know that expression, wherever you go, there you are? Well, sometimes what happens is that people blame their spouses for everything that's wrong in their lives. And I mean everything. And then what happens is they finally get separated or get divorced, and they're think that everything is going to go along swimmingly all of a sudden. So if you're the kind of person who is miserable a lot, maybe it's not about your spouse and about you. And then if you separate and get divorced, well, you still have a miserable life. Or if you're the kind of person who's really negative all the time, well, maybe after you separate from your spouse, you're still going to be negative. The point being is you are who you are. Now, we can always grow and expand and all of that. But when you're thinking about, will I be happier after I get divorced? Think about, well, what kind of a person was I before I got married? Was I an upbeat person? Was I a grumpy person? Was I a miserable person? Was I a joyful person? Was I a funny person? The point being, if you're going to be happier after divorce, it's because you're going to come into yourself more than you had been during the course of your relationship. This is Val, and that's what I wanted to say about that topic. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Much, much love. If you found this video helpful, and I hope you did, please give it a thumbs up. Because if you do that, then this video will be able to reach more people. And as well, if you want to stay in closer touch with me, please ring the little bell icon so that you can subscribe to this channel. This is Val. Much, much love.